Hey guys, today we are going to be working on Math 1.7, and this is all about reading and understanding tally charts and scaled bar graphs. So our objective for today is I can interpret data in tally charts and scaled bar graphs, and I can create bar graphs to show data. So before we jump into everything, I want to show you a page that's in our SRB. You guys can go to this by going to the Everyday Math online website and going to your SRB and going to page 191 to get to the information about the bar graphs. So bar graphs are drawings that use bars to represent data. So all of this information that we're learning today is all about collecting data. And bar graphs can help you answer questions about the data. And the example bar graph in the picture is called a scaled bar graph. The scaled bar graph tells you how much each line is counting by. In this case, in this graph, the scale is counting by tens. So each line that is on here is for 2 people in this case because there's the number of children. This bar graph, when you set up a bar graph, you need to include the title to show the subject of the graph. So this one is called Favorite Foods of the Class. So when I look at this bar graph, I'm going to get information about favorite foods. On the left side, you're going to have usually the number of people or the number of objects that you're measuring. And in this case, it is the number of children. So as we move up, we're increasing the number of children that like that specific type of food. Again, it's not one for every line. This bar graph has a scale interval of 2. So each line is 2, 4, 6, and then 8. The bottom shows each of the foods in this case, or each of the items that you're measuring. So we're looking at tacos, pizza, hamburgers, and spaghetti as the labels of each of the food. So when you look at a bar graph, you're able to identify information quickly and easily. For example, if you want to find out how many people like pizza, you can find the column with pizza, and then you're going to count up to see how many. So if we know that each line is 2, we can count up by 2. So 2, 4, 6. Now, it doesn't go all the way to the top to 8. It goes in the middle. And if you're thinking about numbers, 7 is in between 6 and 8. So we would say 6, 7, 8. Right in the middle is 7. So 7 people chose pizza as their favorite food. So when you go to make your own bar graphs, you are going to pick the scale based on the data that you have and based on the size of your graph. So sometimes when I've created graphs, I don't have enough lines to be able to count by ones, and I have to pick a different scale, whether it be counting by 2s or 5s or even 10s sometimes. It just depends. Sometimes your larger intervals can make large data easier to work with. One of the other things that you can get with these bar graphs is you can find out information like how many more people chose tacos than spaghetti. So we're comparing 2 different types of food in that situation. And if I'm looking at tacos and spaghetti, I'm finding the difference or the amount between. So tacos, there were 8 children that chose tacos. And for spaghetti, there were 2, and then not quite to 4, so 3. So 8 people chose tacos, 3 people chose spaghetti. I find the difference, so 8 minus 3 is 5. So 5 more children chose tacos than spaghetti. Here is a way to collect data and organizes. So we're going to be talking about tally charts to help us to make our bar graphs. Now, a tally chart is usually two columns. Columns go up and down, and you are keeping track of the number of something, and then you're keeping track of how many people or how many items are there. So this example shows a class of children and how many pull-ups they could do. And the results are shown in this chart. So whenever we make a tally chart, we're using our tallies in groups of 5. So we would draw 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we draw a cross to make 5. Every time you see a diagonal, that means there are 5 numbers there. So the number of children that could do 0 pull-ups were 5, and then one more is 6. The number of children that could do only 1 push-up, there are 5. The number of children that could do 2 push-ups, I don't have that cross, so it's not 5. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 children could do 3 pull-ups. Nobody could do 4 pull-ups. 3 people could do 5 pull-ups, and then 1 person could do 6 pull-ups. So we can take this tally chart and put that information into a bar graph. So this is the same information, but just presented in a different way. So remember, we said the title, pull-ups by 3rd graders. On the left side, we have the number of children, and then on the bottom, we have the number of pull-ups. So we can look at our tally chart and the bar graph to see that the number of kids who could do 0 was 6. So we made a bar graph all the way up to the 6. In this case, the scaled bar graph intervals is 1. So each line is 1 person. The number of children that could do 1 push-up, when we look up, is 5. The number of children that could do 2 is 4. The number of children that could do 3 is 2. Nobody could just do 4. 3 people could do 5, and 1 person could do 6. So I am going to show you guys how to use tally charts to make a graph. So we're going to make a bar graph that shows favorite fruits. So in my table, I can see that we're measuring apples, watermelons, pears, bananas, and grapes. On my bar graph, I can see my title, favorite fruits. On the left side, I can see the number of people, and on the bottom, I can see the type of fruit. My scaled graph, my scale interval is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each box represents 1 person. So when I look at this, there were 5 people that chose apples. I'm going to pick the red color for my apple, and I'm going to color in my bar graph with the red. And I just like to make that line. It doesn't have to be perfect. I make the line to where I'm going to color in, and then I just shade it in. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you wanted to, you could go back and you could fix your mess up just a little bit so it doesn't go, not that much because it took everything away. Let's try it again. So my red color, I'm going to just draw it like that, and then fill in my coloring. Try not to go up to the top this time. If it does go up, I'm not too worried about it. If it does go up a little bit. For my watermelon, I am going to show 8 because there is 5 in the tally and then 3 more, so that's 8. I'm going to skip a little bit of a space and put my watermelon right here in this this column right here. So I know here's 5, and then I can go 6, 7, 8 and draw my line there, and then shade in the rest of my bar. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just drawing it in so that I can see what you guys are doing. Okay, for the pear, I'm going to pick this kind of green color, and I can see from my tally chart that 3 people like fruits the best, or pears the best, so I'm going to draw my line at the 3, shade it in, and then move on. I can see that for my bananas, 4 people liked bananas the best, so I'm going to leave a little bit of space here so I'm not right on top of each of the bars. And then I'm going to draw my line at the 4 and go down and shade it in. So I've got my 4 bananas here. And finally, I can see that 10 people liked grapes, and this is 5 and this is 10. So grapes are going to go all the way to the top, and I'm just going to use the blue for the grapes. So I've got my line here. I'm going to draw down my bar and then shade it in so that I have my bar graph completely filled out with the information from the tally chart. Now, part of doing data is looking at it and interpreting or understanding it. So I'm going to use the data in the bar graph to help me answer these questions below. I'm going to switch to my texting tool. So it says, which fruit is the most popular? So which kids did the kids like the most? Well, most kids liked the grape the most, so I'm going to put my texting chart here, and I'm just going to say grapes. How many votes did grapes get? Well, they got 10, so I'm going to go down here and say 10. Number 3 says, which fruit is the least popular? So which bar is the lowest? Pears are the lowest. So I'm going to write my answer, pears. And how many votes did pears get? Well, pears only got 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to put 3 in. And then number 4 says, how many more people like grapes than pears? So we know grapes had 10, pears had 3. So we're going to subtract 10 minus 3, and that is 7. And then number 5 says, what is your favorite kind of food or fruit? My favorite fruit is bananas. So I'm going to type that in here. And then once you are done with the chart, you have your tally chart up here, and you have your bar graph at the bottom with some information that you gathered from the data. As you are going through your activities, one of your activities will be to complete a graph. You will have to watch a brain pop video on tally charts and bar graphs, and you have 3 things to do. You will watch the video, there's the easy quiz, and then there's a draw about it where you will draw a bar graph. The second thing that you'll have to do is your math boxes. And then the third thing you will do is your home link, and on the home link you will be making another bar graph. If you have any questions, let me know. When we meet in our groups, we will be working with bar graphs again. And I will talk to you later.